Surprise, surprise!
Surprise, surprise.
Another Sultan Smashy.
We're back with another Sultan Pasha.
I'm just actually here for the jokes.
Today's fragrance, as you can definitely tell by the title here already, is Dewaniya by Sultan Pasha. Hopefully you can see that. So Dewaniya, like the name itself, I guess means it's like a reception area where somebody meets like business colleagues or other male guests. So it's like a more formal, like enjoyable area before you get down to like brass tacks business. So it's
so
like,
do you like wipe it off and then try something else?
Yeah, then you wipe it off.
You gotta make a good first impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose this is like an extremely like manly fragrance.
Yes. We're not going to talk about unwrapping the bottle or anything like that because we've already done that in our previous Sultan Pasha video. So if you want to, links below to our previous one. So as far as bottle design goes, I guess it's, you know, hasn't changed because it looks the same as all the other Pashas. I mean, it's really, you know, with not having a lot of juice, you can't really do too much with it. I appreciate the wax and the writing on the bottle, but I mean, otherwise, I mean, it doesn't necessarily do a whole lot for me, but I don't think it's a bad bottle. It just isn't a bottle that I would love.
I mean, as minimalistic as they are, and as much as they can do, I think Dewaniya or Sultan Pasha that his atars do everything that I would want them to do. I think they're perfect.
Perfect.
So, what does Dewaniya smell like? Well,
smells like oud.
It's one of Sultan Pasha's oud-centric fragrances,
which is great.
I
love oudi oud.
And this guy is
oudi oud.
One that just smelling it like right out of the sample, I wasn't
a super big fan of.
Yeah, I wasn't super convinced that this was going to be one of the ouds that really won me over.
Mm-hmm.
But I wore it the first time I gave it a full wear. I actually wore it out when we were going to a wine tasting.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just probably about like an hour in after sitting there, I just was relentlessly sniffing my arm and just boring my poor wife with constant reminder of how much this one changed on me instantly and how much I loved Dewaniya.
It definitely smells like a man's fragrance. I don't think a woman could wear this.
Yeah, I think it'd be very hard.
It's very dark and very, not dark in the way it smells, but it's just,
it's very thick.
Yeah, and it's very just big
and spicy. Yeah, where like I
feel like this is when, you know, you talk about Boris concert and they open up with that big wall of sound.
Yeah.
It's like a big wall of man notes that hit your nose.
I definitely agree. I mean, it really, like, down to the resins that are used, down to the woods that are used, the spices that are used, a lot of them come across as very, like, classically masculine notes. And I think Dewaniya has a massive amount of notes, and it has, just kind of like you're saying with the Boris concert, it's just a
big wall.
It's a big old wall of notes, and as you are kind of working through them, like each layer that you're focusing on while it's evolving, the background is evolving too. And so it's something you can really get lost in, but it's also, I think you're right, like where women's fragrances do tend to be vaguely thought of as being like floral or sweet, this is like a dry, spicy, woody fragrance.
If you take all of the notes that are stereotypically masculine, it's probably in here.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah. Throughout Dewaniya, I would say there are like probably about 5 main stages that it goes throughout Dewaniya. There's a stage that contains like a lot of the more floral and probably fruitier aspects. There's orange blossom going on there. There's jasmine. There's osmanthus. You're getting a lot of that in certain stages of the fragrance. Then there's a stage that I would consider to be like more of a chewy fragrance. We remember this from last time. There's a little more of a chewy aspect. There's hyrax going on in there. There's tobacco in there. I would even say the dark coffee notes kind of hang out in the middle there.
Coffee notes.
some of the ambers are in there. Although the hyrax also plays into the third element, which is the smoky quality.
Whoa!
There's smokiness coming from the oud in here, coming from the frankincense, coming from the hyrax. There's a lot of that smoke that just kind of billows throughout the fragrance itself. Then you have kind of more your overtly animalic element to the fragrance, which can come from the oud at certain points, can also come from the civet.
Is the hyrax also an animal?
Yeah, it can also come from the hyrax, which to me feels more like earthy and dirty in that respect. It seems more smoky and kind of chewy.
Not Chewbacca chewy.
Right, like furry chewy. As weird as that sounds. And then there's like the more overtly there's the more overtly oudy / spicy element of this, and the spicy and smoky qualities I think come close to being similar, but I think differentiate themselves pretty easily. Because with like the spices, you get more of like the saffron, and then like the labdanum and rose that are also hanging out there tend to be more overtly spicy. But that's just what I mean about this fragrance. When you're honing in on the rose, the spiciness of the rose might lead you to the saffron over here, or like the creaminess of the rose could easily lead you to the vanilla and tonka beans over here, or it could still even further pull you up towards the tea and the honey.
It's like a choose your own adventure.
It kind of is. And that's what I mean.
Choose your own adventure. What do you want to smell today?
What do you want to smell today?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like each time you wear it, you get a little bit of something else.
Something.
Depending on the environment that you're in, the heat could play into it. The coolness could like chill down some notes and really bring out other elements, as like the heat from your body's actually pulling some of the deeper notes out. Just amazing. Like I say, it's like he's honed in on this one area of this like spicy, woody, masculine area, but it seems endless when you're in it, just falling through
it interacts in the 5 planes of reality or something. So longevity for these things last forever, always.
Yeah, and I mean this one especially, it gets pretty loud when you need it to, and it really just doesn't quit. And I mean, especially with like a lot of the really heavy bass notes that are in here.
Oody oud.
There's Bengali and Indian oud just hanging out in the basement of this guy, and tobacco,
cedar.
Yeah, I mean, just tons of things that you really want to
smell like a man.
Well, tons of notes that stick around forever that people usually like jam pack in fragrances so they can say, hey, look, like. Once the pretty sparkling top notes have worn down, you'll still have this beautiful smell that'll keep going and keep working. And not only do Sultan Pashas normally do that anyways, but this guy's one that just continues to push the limit. And I think, like we've been saying, in every aspect of it, it's just very, very macho.
Macho man. I wanna be a macho man.
But with that being said, I don't think that this is like monochromatic, nor do I think this is limited to like a one-note song. Kind of, I think like Dewaniya really does evolve extravagantly. So I think there's a lot of moments where you're wearing this fragrance because there's like a lot of herbs, there's a lot of floral notes that are going on in here where
all secret like.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost think like, oh wow, this is really fresh. I'm feeling like incredibly light and airy, despite the fact that it's so dense and the fact that it really does have, like, aside from the ouds, aside from tobacco, aside from everything else going on in here and the heavy resins, everything else, there's also like real animalic scents in here. You have civet. It's just this amazing kaleidoscopic fragrance that I feel like there's a few Sultan Pashas that really do what Dewaniya is doing in a different way, and I think outside of these Sultan Pashas, I have never smelt fragrances that I would legitimately describe as dizzying. I mean, there's fragrances, like there's fragrance houses that I would say can get fairly close with the amount of stuff that they jam pack in their fragrances. like Vero Profumo, I think, has a few that can be pretty dizzying with the amount of stuff, and I feel like Vogue also has a ridiculous amount of notes in their fragrances, and oftentimes, as a matter of fact, pretty much every fragrance that I've sampled from the house, which is I think everything that they've got currently out right now, it does send you into a bit of a spiral for a while, but it's never quite like what Sultan Pashas are, which truly do feel endless. Like, there's obviously a limit because you can tell what like genre you're in, and you can tell kind of like where the notes ring out at the end, but it feels as though he takes something that is limited, very obviously limited, and turns it into just kind of a limitless fall that you're kind of sent down. What do you think when you smell this? Like, what if you didn't know this was a Sultan Pasha and you had never smelt this before, and you close your eyes and you smelt this coming in? You smelt this on another human being.
I mean, it's not sweet like caramel, but you know how caramel's got the sweetness and kind of the bitterness to it. That's kind of what it smells like.
Well, there is honey and tea in here too.
I mean, that could maybe be what I'm picking up on.
Because I feel like the quality of there's a lot of herbal notes, and kind of that honey is definitely, I think
when I smell this, I would think that whoever was coming in was probably wearing leather, or worked at a leather shop or something leathery. It doesn't smell like leather, but it's that same type of
smoky.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but
yeah.
I mean, it smells really pleasant. If I met somebody randomly and they were wearing that, I would think they smell pleasant. But I don't think I would want to be sharing an office with somebody who wore this. I mean,
yeah.
Usually, it comes and goes. Depending on how you apply it and depending on your body chemistry that day, Pashas can either really project or stay pretty close to your skin. So if it doesn't project, I wouldn't care. But if it projected all day, that wall of notes, I'd probably go a little crazy.
Yeah. I think that's one of the positive things of them. Even when they do project, I feel like it's not like this ridiculous, massive bubble, which is, to me, a very positive thing, because I really don't like fragrances in general, where, like, when you apply them, it feels like you're giving yourself a migraine just having to walk around with it, because it's like, no matter what you do, it's invading every element of your life. Like, I like to be able to smell myself when I'm wearing a perfume. I like to be able to walk around, or a fragrance, or a concentrated perfume oil. But I feel like there's a lot of things that are manufactured almost to be like an industrial fragrance. I think that's like such a stupid idea. I'm like, who wants to be around that person? Who wants to be that person?
People do.
Some people do, dude.
Just weird note I wanted to point out. Since our last video, Sultan Pasha has made a website now for his fragrances.
True. Hey, nice.
So you no longer have to go on eBay to get them. Which, I mean, some people have like a bad feeling about eBay, but now there's an actual website, which makes it a little bit easier to navigate and find.
That's true.
The fragrances and stuff. So if it is something you're actually interested in, there's now a website to go look at. So
yeah, and it's actually really like well put together. It looks very pleasant.
Yeah.
And he also does this nice thing where like he cross divides all the fragrances. So from his main page, you should be able to navigate. These are the oud attars. These are like traditionally Occidental. These are traditionally like Middle Eastern perfumes, and you can kind of click through. These are floral, and they're cross referenced, so you don't have to worry about like, oh well, I do like florals, but I don't want it to just be florals. Well, there's the ones that are also like
in the oud category as well.
Yeah.
Florally ouds, oudy florals.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to let people know.
Nice point.
Thanks. But the question that the people are actually here for, that they've suffered through this whole time to find out. Well, two questions.
Yes.
1, what would we rate it? And 2, who would wear this?
Okay, so let's start with you. What would you wear, Dewaniya, or what would you rate Dewaniya?
I don't know. know. I mean, maybe it's because I don't spend as much time with the Atara oils as you do, but like the Atara oils aren't really like home runs for me in regards to what I think they smell like. Mostly because usually I get a shit ton of oud, which I like, but I like other things with them. I mean, I think they smell really great, and usually when you wear them, I comment on how much I like them, but they're not my home run winners, so I'd probably give this an upper 7. I'd probably say 7.7. That sounds pretty good.
Fair enough, like a 7.7?
Yeah, 7.7 out of 10. But yeah. What about you?
Obviously it's a 10.
I know it is.
Like Dewaniya, Sultan has a lot of oud fragrances among his ranks, and he talks about the fact that he wants to get away from like making primarily oud fragrances, but he's also just such a goddamn wizard at it. It's like truly out of like the collection of fragrances he has, there are, as far as I can think, there are at least 5 oud oils, oud perfumes that he's made, oud atars, that are just perfect. Like 5 that are just amazing. And the thing that is so crazy about it is that almost all of them are focused on primarily having oud at the centerfold. None of them smell like each other, even like in the slightest. And not only that, but he's made ouds that are, you can wear them during spring. There are ones for summer, there are ones for fall, there are ones for winter. Each one, there's some that are sweeter, there's some that are drier, some more bitter, some more animalic and funky. It's amazing this with the small amount of like output that he's done. And Dewaniya's right up there. Dewaniya is, in my estimation, like in the top 10 oud fragrances that you can smell, like period.
If you watch our old oud journey video, it would no longer be any close to what it was now because of all these Atara oils.
Yeah, because we've done a hell of a lot more since that time, and we could probably make an update video to that pretty easy.
Yeah. Anywho.
Okay, so
you say who you think would wear it first.
So who do I think would wear Dewaniya? Well, so for me, I would say for Dewaniya, I would imagine this is what Baldur smells like in the new God of War game.
Yeah.
Like when he shows up throughout the game, he's
that's a really good one.
He's pretty wild, but he's also very like calculated,
very calculated,
and traditionally like beautiful and masculine while being like tame and also wild at the same time, which I think represents like the beautiful like yin and yang going on with Dewaniya. And not only that, but he's also invincible, and he can't die and nothing can really stop him, and that's also like Dewaniya feels endless to me. So I mean that's also just another wonderful reason why. And he's also got like his crazy beard going on, and he's got his little jewelry going on in his beard, like throughout it, which is like, oh, it's regal, but it's like it's untamed and it's masculine.
That's really good.
Thanks.
If you haven't played God of War 4 yet, we recommend it. Unrelated, my pick is complete opposite of yours.
Uh-oh.
I haven't seen the movie, so I could be totally wrong, but based on what I know about the movie and trailers and clips I've seen, I would say it's Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Wolf on Wall Street, which I don't even know what the character's name is, to be honest with you. But like kind of going with the business aspect of somebody, and like along the same lines, like from what you've seen from the clips, like he's very calculated, but also just completely wild. I mean, you see what he does with his money that he earns and how he blows it and stuff. Slightly arrogant, which also goes along with your character. So just mine's in a business suit and yours isn't.
Yeah.
That's kind of who I would picture. He would totally use this as a power move, and just like make his no. I don't know. Do you even know the name character? Yeah. No, we're both great.
I don't.
But yeah, so that's who I'd pick. I pick Leonardo DiCaprio's character from Wolf on Wall Street, and that'd be who I think would wear this.
We don't really have a goodbye thing for you guys.
Not today, anyway. This is our goodbye, I guess.
We never have a goodbye thing, and we never will.
No. Ciao.
Because we don't want you guys to leave.
Aw, that's sweet. Nah, well.
Please come visit us.
Yep.
Spend more time with us.
Yep. The cats would approve of company.
Subscribe so we can tell our parents we have friends.